Good evening, Reds. How are you all doing? This is Jarvis Cocker and on MUFC Realist TV. And tonight we have our Monday show, Jarvis's Corner. My guests tonight is Stu Woolley and Tom, Journalist One. And hopefully we will have Uncle Jimmy coming on a little bit later. You will see me after this intro.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharply to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to...
Hello, guys. So good to see you and a lot of people in the chat too. That's fantastic. So I will start with you, Stu. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. It's been an interesting week already, hasn't it? And everything Manchester United wise. So yeah, it's been relatively cold here in the UK. Obviously warm for for you, Jarvis. You've been in t-shirt and shorts over here, but it's been relatively cold. Yes, we've got various storms hitting us again, but you know what? We're all in good spirits, so it's all good. Great to be back, pal. Thank you.
Yeah, good. And Tom, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Cool.
Echo what Stu said. Everything else, everybody's doing good, doing well. Has had a good week or a good start to the week anyway. Monday and yeah, hope everyone's doing good.
You still in the country or are you?
No, I'm in Paris.
Paris.
Wow.
Are you enjoying yourself? Paris is
enjoying myself.
City.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the artsy fartsy things and sculptures?
I've been Paris many a time, so it's nothing really new. But I know where the nice parts of Paris are, and I know where to dodge. You know.
Yeah. You need to know that, don't you, Tom? With Paris,
need to know that,
yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. The first time I ever went there, I got caught on a taxi fare. I got caught by that. I was on my way to Le Mans as well. I was doing some work at Le Mans, and yes, I got caught by that taxi fare, which would never happen again. So there's certain things you want to avoid, but beautiful place. If you can see the right parts of Paris, absolutely gorgeous, I have to say.
It is. I just want to say hi to the VAR room. I see we have Lilis in the chat. We have number one MILF Hunter. We have Tom Burridge. We have Jale Malmin coming in, and he says something about the baguettes in. I'm jealous. Baguettes. I want baguettes from Paris.
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
Jale, he loves his food. So that's good. And we have Mark Davis in the chat. He said, "Good evening, Jarvis. How you doing, bud? Big up to you." Tom Burridge in the chat. We have Red J in the chat. Captain Caveman. Big up, Captain. And the Swede Jonathan Liljenberg. Well, hi there. Big up. And we have, of course, our legend who always keep the count of the likes is Stephanie Griffith. Big up, Jarvis, Stu, and Tom. Good to see you, Stephanie. And she always is starting to count. And we have 18 likes. So just start liking the stream right away because it helps out the algorithms. As always, don't be cheap. Give us a like. That's what we want. We have Tommy Burridge here. We have Byron Francis coming in with a thumbs up. And the big man himself, Neil Driscoll, comes in and say, "Hi, guys. Sad news. Oh, my wife died. Mom's died today. Oh, I'm sorry, Neil Driscoll. everybody give Neil Drickle a low heart in the chat.
Yes.
You know, it's a tragic news. So I hope everything is okay, Neil. Hope everything is okay. We have Nikki Cadogan in the chat evening, and we have who else? Thomas. Thomas is in the chat. Good to see you, Thomas. I just got to be a little bit honest with you guys. I have had a super hectic day. I haven't had the time to prepare anything today. So, but luckily, I have a good friend in Stu Woolley. So tonight he will be in the main seat and lead the show. So take it away, Stu.
Thank you. Well, look, Jarvis, thanks for handing me over the reins to your precious show. So I'll do my very, very best to make you proud, old friends. Make you proud. I will be holding the tummy in. It's bought and paid for this, guys, but I will be holding it in as best as I can. I didn't make it to the gym today either, as it was quite a hectic day. Before we start, there's 42 of you watching, which is absolutely brilliant. We really, really would like you to hit that like button because, as Jarvis said, the algorithm is rather good. And Mick has prepared something a little special for you, ladies and gentlemen. So just have a quick watch of this, please.
So it's coming.
Oh, it's not showing. Why is it not
So
showing?
it's come to our attention that about 90% of you on YouTube have not yet learned how to smash the like button. What? So today, we're going to learn.
No! God,
are you ready?
Please, no! No!
All right.
No!
And that is how you smash the like button. Hit the like button. What did I say?
Hit the like button.
Exactly. Don't forget it.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry about that. A little bit of a blip at the beginning, but there you go. So if you could all hit that like button for us, it'd be absolutely great. So welcome to the VAR room, as Jarvis said. Welcome to Tom and welcome to Jarvis. Yes, I've had one of those days today as well, unfortunately, but it would be remiss of us to not talk about the incumbent appointment that Manchester United have made. I know that a lot of channels have done shows on it previously. There's been a mixed emotion, really. Some of the supporters are thinking it's going to make no difference at all. Some of us think it'll make a huge bit of difference. But nonetheless, it is actually a starting point. So, Jarvis, I did see the show that you did yesterday. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, with Mick?
Saturday, I believe.
Yeah. Did you just give us your thoughts on what you think of Berreda and what skill sets you think he can bring and what skill sets we desperately need he has that can enhance Manchester United moving forward?
Yeah, I would say Omar Berrada. I'm very impressed by this signing. You know, his credentials are amazing. It's almost too good to be true. Having a guy like him coming into our club, so I was a little bit shell shocked at the moment. At the moment the news hit, so I couldn't quite wrap my head around what you think. But I've been thinking about it now. Yesterday and today, I've been watching a lot of YouTube clips and reading Twitter, what people are saying. And in a way, I have made up my mind this time. I will be more cautious. I see everybody now is sharing this, what you call it, signing or appointment. But for me, I will let him prove it to me. I won't get giddy this time because I have seen this movie so many times when it comes to this club. We have signed Ronaldo coming in, Ballon d'Or winner, top goal scorer in the world, and everybody is praising it as the best thing happened since sliced bread. And suddenly we build them up and they fall down. And all the journalists, the pundits, the people who are praising Omar Berrada right now will look for a weakness and tear him down as fast as they can. So for me, I will try to keep it level and hold my enthusiasm until he proves for me that he's the best guy into the job.
No, I totally agree. Tom, interesting for you then, mate. If you're Berreda or Berrada, as Jarvis more eloquently says it, what's in your in tray? What's top of your in tray?
Sort the debt out, first and foremost. Manchester City's never had to manage debt. I know apparently he's had involvements in 11 football clubs across 5 continents. He's not necessarily a Manchester City guy. He's the City Football Group guy. So he networks all of the different football clubs for the recruitment, the financing, the sponsorship, and he has major influence over all of them. But the only thing that I think, in terms of him coming into Manchester United, is first he's got to get his feet under the table. He's got to learn the actual culture, the environment that he's in, because it will be completely different to what's happening with Manchester City and the way that they operate as a football club. City effectively have 4 leaders in their group. They had this guy, they had Soriano, they have Khalidou Mubarak, and they have Tixi Bergenstein. I can't even pronounce his surname. They're those 4 guys who run the club. This guy's coming and stepping away from that to be the guy for Manchester United, the main man. And ultimately, the debt is what cripples Manchester United at this moment in time. And there needs to be a plan in place for that. Because the sooner the debt is either finalised or sorted, and if Manchester United can either pay it down or Jim Ratcliffe or whoever's going to pay it off in a couple of years, as soon as that happens, Manchester United are on an open playing field. They are a nation state, but they're a brand state. That's what they are. They will be the biggest brand in football that generates the most money on its own, but can compete with every single top club in the world. So right now, you won't be having a conversation. Can Manchester United afford Kylian Mbappe? That wouldn't even be a question. It'd be yes, they can straight away. There's no arguments. Same when Erling Haaland was on the market. Exactly the same when Jude Bellingham was on the market. You wouldn't be having these conversations if buts or maybes. They'd be there because they would have the financing in place to do it. So first and foremost, if you can sort that out, it will help the club run a lot more smoother. You'll have more money available for recruitment. It's saying this window right now where we are crippled by we can't bring anybody in of reasonable quality and buy players. So you're going to be in that situation where maybe in a couple of years' time, if that gets sorted out with this guy, and he puts a plan in place where it doesn't cripple you as much, or it's completely gone, then all of a sudden Manchester United can compete again. But I'm the same as Jarvis. I'm not going to pass judgment on the guy until I know a couple of things. If he's going to be impacted by what's happening with Manchester City, because as far as I'm aware anyway, that they're doing internal investigations on all of the hierarchy within the group. So effectively with City, they're being investigated individually as well as a football club. So let's face facts. If Manchester City get found guilty as a football club, any jurisdiction or penalties that go against the club will probably go against the hierarchy. And he was a major contributor of that hierarchy. So the charges will follow him to Manchester United in the same way that they followed Fabio Paratici from Juventus to Spurs when he was sporting director. Yeah. So it can happen in football. So I'm not going to get too giddy until I see what's actually going to happen on the opposite side of Manchester, but also what sort of influence the guy's going to have, because I still don't trust this 25% ownership anyway, because I think it's watertight. I think you could pour a bit of water on it and the paper will burst. I don't think it's as tight and strong as people make out to be. So if he has influence and he has power and control, fair enough. I think we've got a brilliant guy. But if we're basing it off of what we've seen in the last couple of years, Richard Arnold was supposed to have control and power. He was going to be the future. Didn't happen. It was exactly the same as Ed Woodward. So we're going to see what the guy's about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Logie watching tonight, guys. There's 51 of you watching at the moment. I think Stephanie, if she could give us a like update, we're up to about 30 of those at the moment. So if you can keep liking, that'd be great. Neil, there's loads of love for you, old friends, in the VAR room. Thank you for that. Our hearts are with you, pal. They really are. Great to see Jonathan Littleberg in. Yeah. He was having a bit of a pop at my useless working of the background there. You're quite right to do that, Jonathan. Duke from Rodtown was saying, hi all, hope you're all keeping well as you can. We are, thank you, today. We are. We're in good spirits, and I hope you are as well. Jarvis, Captain Caveman, the new appointments are serial winners. Maybe not in football, but in life. They breathe success. He's absolutely right. I think we all recognise we're all businessmen here. We all, at a director level, etc., on this panel. So we all understand it's not all about track record. it's all about the individual and what he can bring to the position. I believe under the radar, we've managed to poach Leicester City's head of development as well, not talent development, but infrastructure development. Yes,
yeah.
I understand we managed to do that as well. So, we talk about best in class all the time. Everybody talks about best in class. Do you think that? And I'm kind of with Tom on this, by the way. I'm not 100% accurate, 100% sure about this 25%. But do you think these very, very small sheets, but particularly important pieces of the puzzle are coming together? Do you think this is all Ineos led, or do you think the Glazers have finally opened up their eyes to what they need to do to actually get to the 10 billion the asking price that they want in maybe 2 to 3 years' time?
Yeah, if you're asking me or are you asking Tom?
Sorry, I'm asking you, Jarvis. Yeah, and then Tom, you can get on that, please. Sorry.
Well, the way I see it now, if you talk about the investment of 25%, or maybe it's 29% when he's done with the Class A shares, as I have heard and read. I see several options. Option A is that Jim and the Glazers are in a way in a cahoots. They have struck a deal and they will they have set the mark $33 a share, and in 18 months they will get their money, and all of them will walk if they will have the right price. Another option is this is just a clever business move from Jim Ratcliffe. Maybe he was buying himself some time. He struck a deal with the Glazers, and now he has 18 months to raise the funds, and in 18 months he will give the Glazers the $33 a share, and have the 69% of the club he needs to have majority. But the third option is the one that I'm most afraid of, is because he have struck a deal with the Devils, and I'm not talking about the Red Devils, it's the Glazer Devils. And they are just double crossing him. They struck a deal and he gave them 900 millions, and in 18 months they will say, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What deal?" And we will have 10, 15 more years with the Glazers. So I'm not sure what's going to go on, but it sounds like a good move with Omar Berrada coming in, and we have read a lot about the structure, who will come in. We will have a sporting director, and Berrada, who will be a CEO, and there will be a lot of how the corporate ladder will be a little bit different, because we have seen what's happening with when Erik ten Hag speaks directly to Joe Glazer. That's a problem. We saw it with the Anthony signing, for example. There's been I read that Ten Hag used his veto and pushed the Anthony signing through after the 2 losses in the beginning of last season, because he was desperate, and United had to just pay up. And that was bad business. That's not how you plan a transfer and how you do it. So yet again, we overpaid for a player, and we should have some people in between telling Ten Hag this is not a good move, and telling Joe Glazer this is not a good move, and this is what we're getting at the moment. So for me, I see it as a positive step in the right direction. But I'm like you, Tom. I will hold my judgment.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, if the only thing that makes everybody get excited over this is because you've got him from Manchester City, I think if this was just some average Joe CEO or CFO from, I don't know, Leicester City, Southampton, nobody would be getting too giddy, because they've got no major qualification. They've not really done anything. The only thing we know with this guy is he's been a part of a football club that's been very successful, and arguably is the most successful club in Europe right now, because they are always on that ballot sheet to win the Champions League every single year. They're almost expected to. They're expected to win the Premier League every single year. It's expectations now. That's what sort of a club he's coming from. But the fact of that, I still can't get this allegations thing away from it, because if it comes to it and Manchester City are found guilty, they will follow him to Manchester United. I guarantee you. It will be a simple case of if you commit a crime and you dip and you try and dodge away from it, and you move country, you go on the run, whatever, they hunt you down. They will hunt this guy down and they'll track him to Manchester United. And whatever punishments that the guys get at City, he will get exactly the same at Manchester United. And if it's got anything to go by what Juventus did in Serie A, even though it was a different league and it's different rules over there, I'd probably say that he'd be suspended from operating in football for years. I'm not talking you're talking maybe 5 years. That some of them at the highest level, Mubarak and stuff, might never work in football ever again. They might not. That's how deep these problems can go. And at the end of the day, the only thing I'm going to say is if it's found proven guilty, Manchester City, and he's a part of that, then, and he gets the charges brought against him, technically you've hired a guy that's dodgy, you've brought him in to a football club that's already toxic as it is, and then on top of that, he will have had to cheat as part of an organisation to be successful as well. So does his qualifications and success at Manchester City really hold deeply in everybody's hearts anymore if it gets proven that they are found guilty to be cheats? I don't know. That's my issue.
It's a good point, Tom. My question, and I'd love everyone in the VAR room to get involved, particularly Jamie, because Jamie's made a couple of great comments about nobody will be scared of us, etc. I love Jamie's opinions. I think he's great. He's a brilliant moderator for us, or ex-moderator for us. He's a great supporter of the channel. So, Jamie, if you can elaborate that, please, to the panel. Ask any question you want, mate. It'd be great. Also, everyone in the VAR room, please get your questions in. This is an ongoing topic now today, and where we're going to be in the next few years. The question I've got, though, is, and it is one, I'm wondering whether or not the approaches made towards Omar were also pushed by the Premier League. Now, I know there's NDAs and there can't be any absolutes in life, but there are some suggestions that he was way out of the issues that's going on at Manchester City at the moment with his overall running of the other clubs. But I'm with you on this one, Tom. There could be no smoke without fire. So would we consider they may have approached the Premier League?
The only thing I'll say with that, Stu, is if Manchester United have gone into this dark and they've managed to pick this guy and they haven't done any due diligence on it, I think that's a solution as to why it's been so easy to pull him away from City. Yeah. If they have done the due diligence on him and that they've clearly... The way it is with Manchester United is, it's exactly the same as us. Nobody knows what's happened internally at Manchester City but them. This guy will know himself if he's part of a corrupt, dodgy football club or not. Agreed. So if it comes down to it and it gets proven that way, I would hope for our sake as a football club and one of the biggest brands in world football, I hope for their sake that there's a clause inserted in his contract when he starts in the summer that if you are found to be guilty and you are reprimanded by the Premier League from operating in football, we can terminate your contract, click of a finger, and you're gone. You get no payout, you get nothing, you're gone. Simple as that. And if you go down that road and it happens, Manchester United cover themselves over the paper of it to say that they was doing the right checks on the guy before they hired him. If he doesn't, if they haven't done that, and they've gone into the dark and they just hired the guy for the sake of it and say he's done brilliant at Manchester City, we have to get the best in class and he's one of them, fair enough. But a lot of Manchester United fans before yesterday, let's face facts, they probably didn't even know who the guy was. Unless you do proper research and you're well connected in football, you've never heard of the guy, you've never seen the guy, you've never even probably known who he was or what he was doing in Manchester City. But I fail to believe that if it's certain people in that football club, like Mubarak, like Soriano, like Tixi, the sporting director, if one of them know that they've done something illegal financially, all of them have to know. I can't sit here and say and defend the. I won't sit here and defend the guy and say that he can have nothing to do with it at all. If Mubarak, who is effectively the liaison and the CEO for Manchester City, just that one club out of the 11, if he knows that football club, and they've been pumping in millions for a couple of years by illicit ways and means. And this guy who is a part of the City Football Group, all 11 clubs, he effectively does the network and scouting for Manchester City to bring players from, say, Melbourne City, New York City to Manchester City eventually, the best ones. If he doesn't know that the money that they're going to use for transfers to get player from Club A, from Club, say, E to Club A eventually in Manchester City, and he doesn't know that that money that they're using is effectively illegal to use, I fail to see how he's not going to be reprimanded by the league. But if it comes down to it, and Manchester City are proven not guilty and they get away with the charges, fair enough. Manchester United have got a decent guy in and what have you. But if it comes down to it and they're found guilty, I want the book for if the charges fall into Manchester United, throw the book at him. I'm serious. Throw the book at him, get his briefcase, pack his bags, and get him out of the football club. It's as simple as that. Because there's no loyalty in football. I'm sorry. If you've cheated, it damages his reputation. And somebody put the comment before, he's got a brilliant CV. Absolutely, he's got a brilliant CV, but half of that CV can be ripped up if these City's charges are proven guilty. Can be ripped up straight away. And that's why I say Mubarak, Soriano, Tixi, and this guy, all of them in world football, I'd be surprised if they get another big job in any football club if they get found guilty.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, there's rumours that Berreda or whatever you pronounce it, Tixi, wants to go back to Barcelona, isn't there? Again, these are just
these are rumours. And then if he was going to go back, Omar was going to apparently take over his role, and so there's certain things like that. But I think the misconception with this guy is he wasn't the main guy at Manchester City.
Yeah,
that's the misconception. Yeah. But how their sort of club works, if I had to go through it first and foremost, you have Khalidou Mubarak, who is the liaison from the ownership and the CEO of Manchester City. That one club, Manchester City. You have Ferran Soriano, who's the chief executive for Manchester City. You then have Tixi Bergenstein, who's the sporting director of Manchester City, head of recruitment, all in one. And then you have Omar Berrada, who runs the whole 11 football clubs and the network for all of Manchester City's clubs. The sort of multi-club ownership. That's how they come out. So effectively, when you look at how Manchester City have operated, they've operated very well because they have what many people call the best in class internally in football. So to pull one of those four away in the way that they have done, and let's face it, guys, they weren't exactly preaching this guy's name out there for weeks and weeks. Like we've heard Dan Ashworth's been there. We've heard so-and-so, Paul Mitchell. We've been hearing all these different names. They've not exactly gone for a guy that's been put out there in the media and leaked, year in, year out. They've gone for somebody completely different. But if it comes down to it, the bottom line sticks at Manchester United. They've hired a corrupt guy under a corrupt organisation. You have to get rid of him. And I think, especially for him, to jump from such a successful club in Manchester City to come to Manchester United, there can be two arguments. He's doing it because he's been sold the project. He's doing it because he knows that there's something illicit with Manchester City and he was culpable and involved in it and he's jumping ship while he can. Or the only worrying thing that we've all had for the same years when we hire players, managers or anything, guys, is money. Money talks. There's the old phrase, money talks and walks. I won't say the other word, so it won't get demonetised. But everybody knows the word that I'm saying. That's how football works on a base level. So the guy's got a brilliant CV, track record, everything. But it almost sounds too good to be true. And the only thing I'm going to say is, anybody who's getting giddy right now, wait. Wait and see what the rest of the other people come in and get and who they get. And I'll say it for what it is, and I said it earlier on Nuruddin's show anyway, on United Real Therapy. If you bring in Dan Ashworth, you bring in Paul Mitchell, and you bring in Berrada, for example, you bring in these guys, I'm still not going to be giddy. I want those people to then have the authority and control to go out there and hire the people that they want to hire to work under them and under their network. So you have Paul Mitchell, he will want to hire a scout from Spain, a scout from, South Korea, a scout from wherever. These sort of people, he's an assistant to him, a legislator to him. you need to give him the authority to let him do that. In the same way with Dan Ashworth, if he comes in and is your director of football, he might say, I want an assistant technical director to work under me. I want whoever to come in. I've worked with a guy at the FA who's a brilliant player liaison, who knows about character, who knows about leadership, in hiring and firing players from a football club, bringing them in and getting rid of them in the right principles and way. If these guys want to bring people in underneath them, they need to have I want them to have the authority to do it. So the one thing that I was saying that we'll know for starters with this guy is, if Manchester United move a lot smarter in the market, for example, if when you get to the summer, everybody's sitting here right now and saying that we need a number 9 because Højlund's young, he's not exactly getting the numbers. If Manchester United went out there and spent £100 million on a striker, I think a lot of us would be sitting here thinking, has anything really changed? But if they go out there, they do proper market research, and they look at those £100 million players and they say, do you know what? You're not worth it at all. And they went and got somebody for 30 million from South America or wherever that none of us have heard of. I think a lot of us would look and think, okay, there's something a little bit different going on there. That's the one thing that we want to see, difference. I don't know about what you guys feel anyway, but...
Tom, I think you're right, mate. Look, guys, the VAR room is amazing. It's going off brilliantly. I'm struggling to keep up with it. I'll Jarvis, I don't know whether you can find out where we last comment left off and see if we can.
Yeah, I made up some star comments here. We see Byron Francis. He comes in and say it seems very naive to hire him, knowing the issues surrounding him, and in a way it is. I just want to address this quick because as you saw, I shared the screen of Citigroup, and these are the leaderboard of Citigroup, and in a way, I don't know if you know Citigroup, but they have Manchester City, New York City, Melbourne City, Yokohama, Montevideo, Girona, Mumbai.
11
Palermo,
clubs over 5 continents.
Bolivar. So there's a lot of clubs, and you know they have a great network of scouts and players, and so basically they have the world in a way. So we have to work in another way because Omar, he was chief football operator officer for Citigroup. That's his job. So he's been leading this group of clubs around the world. And when I read his credentials, you see here on Man City footballgroup.com. When I read this, I find it very interesting. I will just read it very fast. Omar Berrada is Chief Football Operation Officer at Manchester City Football Group. Prior to this, Omar was Chief Operating Officer at Manchester City Football Club, have been promoted in September 2016. So he's been in this job since 2016. And before that, he was Commercial Director for Manchester City Football Marketing, working in commercial, so the business part of the club. And Omar worked at the FC Barcelona for almost 8 years as Senior Media Business Development Manager and was the head of sponsorship, so also business. During a very successful era for the Catalan club, Omar's expertise is in sponsorship and media rights and reflects 11 years of senior level experience in the sports industry and 5 years in telecommunication sector with the companies Tiscali and World Online. He has a track record of negotiating complex and innovative partnerships with leading brands and companies. So this is his, I would say, credentials. And for me, this is very businesslike. I think him and the Glazers will find a good working relationship.
I was just going to say that, Jarvis. Don't you think he sounds like the perfect CV for the Glazer family?
Yeah.
If you were going for an Ed Woodward similarity.
And this is what struck me at the first when I read, because I went directly to Citigroup to find out, research, what is this guy? What has he done? And for me...
I think that's key, Jarvis, because Barry, by the way, is saying, lol, roles are scared, etc. Scared may not have been the right word. Maybe concerns is maybe a better word. But a well-run Manchester United, it doesn't have to be a well-funded Manchester United, as Tom has eloquently put it right at the very beginning of the stream. But a well-run Manchester United will put fear amongst the bigger clubs.
Still, they ruin childhoods. That's what
Yes,
it was.
that's right.
As
Yes,
a club,
that's right.
they ruined people's childhoods.
Correct.
So they're fearful of that. That's why.
No, absolutely. But a well-run Manchester United can generate its own income. And we all know this. Everyone in the VAR room knows this. We know we didn't need a sugar daddy to come in like a Qatar to do this. We needed some sensible people because Manchester United's, even if you take the debt away, and this isn't one back to say is not a good thing or a bad thing, but everybody carries debt. Everybody, even Apple carry debt. They carry cash debt. They have a short-term debt strategy and a long-term debt strategy. Amazon do the same. Apple short-term debt's about, I don't know, 15 billion, something along those lines. Their long-term debt strategy is about 138 billion. You know, but their market capitalization is in the trillions. So our Manchester, although we're a 1 minute at 1.1 billion pounds in debt, our market capitalization at the moment, when you consider everything, it's 5 billion, because that's the value that people are placing on Manchester United. We don't want to run with debt, we don't. But a well-run Manchester United can seriously start eating into that debt, and before we know it, we can take chunks out, and start operating at the club that we all knew. Look, guys, you know, I'm old. I'm an old man. I'm 54 next month, and I've seen a very low Manchester United, Manchester United that was, pretty much in the dirt in the 70s, and then it just got galvanised by a group of men, and then another group of men come in and destroyed it. So this is what you're talking about, guys. It's a group of individuals, a group of business people. That's men and women, or they, them, whichever. And they are the ones that are now charged with galvanising. Tom's absolutely right to be sceptical. So is Jarvis. Everyone in the VAR room, you're right to be sceptical about the implications of what's happening with these 115 charges, because we don't know. We do know, though, that, and I think I'm right in saying this, I could be wrong, but a serious operator, and he is a serious operator, is Dave Brailsford. So is Jean-Claude Blanc. So is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Yes, to be a billionaire, Tom, I know will agree with me, and so will Jarvis. You cut the cloth. You do. You cut the cloth. You do what you can to make that money. But I get the sense with these guys that if they're in a deep, deep well, they will fight tooth and nail to get out of that well unaided. They don't want people to help them. And this is what I believe we've got. Now, Tommy's also right, so is Jarvis. Don't get giddy right now, because we've got one person. We need another person and another person to start to shape the future of Manchester United. But I know what you're saying, Barrett, and I think maybe, and Jamie was right, by the way, and Jamie come back about what he wants to see. And he wants the old Manchester United back. I get that, pal. I do. Everyone wants the old Manchester United back. But we've got to kind of rip up the new Manchester United first to delve deep down in the bag and bring the old Manchester United out. And we've got to trust in these people to get it done. But the skepticism is right and it's founded, and we must be skeptical. But isn't it nice, just for a very, very short space of time? It reminds me, if you're all car buffs in this chat room, about owning an Alfa Romeo. It's an absolute dog of a car, but for those 10 beautiful minutes where it works, it's a wonderful driver's car. And this is where Manchester United are right now. We've just got to hope and pray that Ratcliffe is the type that will claw tooth and nail to get out of a deep, deep well and start to walk into the meadow of poppies that we all want to be, because that is where we were in the 90s. So a bit of a weird analogy there, fellas. I do apologise.
Well said, Stu. I just want to bring out this one.
I've seen them. Yes, please. Yes, I have. There's gifts. Let me get the old.
Oh my God!
And we have a gifted memberships.
It's gifted memberships.
It's none of less than the big boss himself, Mick Ruby, who came in and gifted 20 MUFC Realist TV memberships.
Top man.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Mick. And do you want me to read them out, or?
Yes, read them out, Jarvis. Let's welcome the new members.
I need my reading glasses. I'm an old man too, you know, but not as old as used to.
Wait, no need for that. Bloody hell. Have a word, Tom.
Okay, the first member, Rushmano. We have Almac. We have it's Timmy.
Yay.
Welsh Girl 68. We have Rayat Singh. We have Peter Reed, Day 147. DJ Superfly. Marcin Vitsuwatni. We have Ichichini Koyak. We have Thomas. We have Kenny Odolate. We have Red Devil Studios. Big up RDS. We had Admiral Drex and Steve Brown. Viking Red, Tony Bond, and Trim from Northern Norway. Big up, Trim. And we have number one MILF Hunter.
Okay.
We have Neo, Derek Lyon, and yeah, that seems to be it. So remember, guys, to say thank you to Mick Ruby in the chat.
Welcome all. Thank you, guys. Just a quick one. 77 watching, massive, and we've got over 52 likes so far, so keep it coming. If you're enjoying the chat, please tell us. If you don't like what we're talking about, please tell us. This is a open forum. We love everyone in the VAR room. Jamie's got a question. Jarvis, over to you on that one. It's a great question. To the panel, what was our most dominating team's time to rediscover that again? So I think he's asking, how do we rediscover what our dominating teams did in the past?
Well, in Ferguson's early days, in the beginning of the 90s, it was more of a robust team. There were people on that team who were really warriors. Of course, Roy Keane, but we had Pallister, we had Steve Bruce, Paul Ince, Mark Hughes. A lot of like robust guys, and Peter Schmeichel came in, so no one could go against them, and you know, they went on the field and played ball, but if the opposition team tried to rough them up, they gave back double, and that's how the old United were, as when I grew up and fell in love with Man United. What do you think, Stu or Tom?
Yeah, you there, Tom?
Oh, he's on the phone.
No, I agree. Look, you know, my first game, everyone, was 1977, and it was a cold day away to Wolves. We got beat that day, but I was captivated by people who were putting in sliding tackles, who were jumping in the air for headers, who were throwing themselves into Joe Jordan, yeah, he used to take his teeth out. Yeah, he would take his teeth out, yeah. And I was very fortunate in my early career to get or to work with a guy called Alan Webb. And Alan Webb was a West Brom player at the time. And he tells me this story about back in the early 70s, Ron Atkinson wouldn't play him. He was a right back, and he wouldn't play him. He's a young right back, and he wouldn't play him because Joe Jordan was there. And he felt that Joe Jordan would rough him off, because Jordan used to like a scrap first and a goal second. And that was absolutely great. And he was just, even some referees back in the day would tell you how Jordan would just scream at them. Anyone who's similar to me or a little bit older in the VAR room will remember Big Joe. But we had some silky skills with Sammy Mack. Look at that. Yes. That was Jarvis, that was my first ever top. That was my first ever top. I was the only one. Yeah, I was the only one at Liddishall School back in the 70s to have that top. I was very proud of that. But you know, those are what make memories for the club, and I feel Jamie's pain and everyone else's pain, because when I look back to those more simpler times in football, although we were losing more than we were winning, that's what you know, really got me into Manchester United. It got me into wanting to go outside and kick a ball around, because that's how we all, you know, started with footballing. So Jamie's right. We need that type of aggression back. We don't need posers anymore. You know, Monday footballers are posers. I'm more interested in how they look rather than actually playing the game. We need players to start playing the game again. And maybe, you know, I read an article that social media is the mother of all evil, and maybe social media is been an absolute catalyst of where players are today. And I don't know. I think social media is the way forward. We all love social media. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we didn't like social media. But there's maybe a time and a place to it. And so for me, I'm with you on that one, Jarvis. I think it comes down to a lot of aggression and a lot of this will to win. They can't bother because Joe Jordan wasn't walking back to a 7-bed mansion with 10 million quid in his bank account. And that's where it is. What do you think, Tom?
Regarding what, sorry, guys? What were you discussing?
Yeah, we were just discussing. Jamie was saying, how can we get the teams of the past that used to be dominant back? Me and Jarvis felt it was to do with aggression and, big men, stocky men, arrogant men, but argumentative, nasty people.
Yeah, I think football's changed though, hasn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah,
it's gone very technical. You have to be, brilliant with the ball at your feet, but you have to be able to bully people in the air. That's almost the ideal footballer. Yeah, big up, Mark. And I don't know really, because I look at, say, the great Manchester United teams of old. When Sir Matt Busby came to the club and Sir Alex Ferguson, and I almost think in those eras at those times, that was what football was about. What those presences and those influences, and there's been other football clubs. We have to say it for what it is. The Shanklers, the Paisleys at Liverpool. Like, there's been other influences in different eras of football, in time, at other clubs that have had major influence. But I think in this current dynamic right now, it's almost as if we're a club that the ambition is to succeed, but nobody's either been successful away from Manchester United, whether that's players, managers, or even if you want to go higher and above, the directors or the owners. Nobody's really been successful in the last 10 years. That's at the club currently right now. And that isn't necessarily anybody who has the ambition or a plan that's going to fix that or change that in the next 3-4 years. There isn't anybody. As a club, as like you were saying with players in terms of like aggression and everything like that, that's, like I said, I take that more to back in the day. That's like, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s. That's your bread and butter, bully people off the ball. You go into every tackle, 2 studs up, you break a couple of legs, whatever. If you didn't used to break somebody's leg in a football match, you used to be thinking, what's going on?
I still do that now, Tom.
That was how football was. Now it's about, you have to have the best facilities, you have to have the best, recovery department, you have to have the best, medical suite to get players back to full fitness. You have to have the best physios. It has to be the best. And even if it comes down to it, guys, the training facility, a player can come up in their Range Rover, their Rolls Royce, their whatever. If they drive into a training ground, they don't feel it. They don't feel it, and it's just something that players, if they look around at them and they think, "Wow!" As soon as they get out of the car every single morning, those Manchester City players, they must think, "Wow!" You can go for a 20-30 minute stroll around the Etihad campus. You wouldn't even be probably halfway through a tour. You might be a quarter way through the tour. It's that big. It's that wow factor. That's the thing. And you look at that's over the road, and you think, and you must, as a Manchester United fan, if anybody's been to the Etihad campus, it is almost a cultural shock when you see the difference with Manchester United. It is. And the degradings of it is Carrington, even as people look at it, I don't really think it's not fit for purpose. You look at Carrington and you put it up there. Listen, Leicester City are in the Championship. They've got an £80 million training facility, which is better than ours. And it was built by somebody who we have currently employed at our club, but we've not used her in the right way in Mags Murgan. So I think ultimately going forward, the way that we have to look at it, especially Sir Jim Ratcliffe anyway, if he wants to bring the old foundations of Manchester United, he has to look at what brought United success in the past, which is the legacy, the history, but you're going to have to embed that in Manchester United. And you're going to have to take the old, and it's not a nice phrase that I like saying it, but take what you've had with Sir Alex Ferguson, even if Sir Matt Busby was still alive today and everything. You take the history and legacy of Manchester United and you park it and just say, they've given their massive dues. Sir Alex Ferguson, there will never be another one of you. sit in that stand, enjoy your retirement, enjoy the final few years of your life, and we hope that we can bring talented, brilliant young footballers to this football club that will make you almost get giddy again, get up off your seat. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson would want as a parting gift to Manchester United fans: a team and a spirit of a club that would fight for him for nearly 2 decades to come back. So Jim Ratcliffe, you look at that at this similar sort of age bracket of Sir Alex Ferguson. You take that. You don't want to be sat in your seat like you was at Spurs, mate, thinking to yourself, I don't even know if I'm going to stand up if United score a goal. You want to be there every single week where United score 3, 4, 5, 6. You almost want to be in the standing section, not even have seats in the director's box. That's how you want to be as a Manchester United fan. You have to have the best facilities, the best training facilities, the best stadium, and then ultimately you get a plan from there. But if you want to re-galvanise Manchester United, and it's a factor that I think a lot of people are going to look at, and when I say this, and they might not understand me until they get the full sort of debrief of it. But for me, the first thing that I would do, so Jim Ratcliffe coming in, I would get the best, the biggest. I'd put as much money into it as it takes. Get the best training facility in world football, technology, every single department, health and well-being, recovery, everything. Like they're on about buying golf courses, buy some golf courses, build a whole complex for with 200 acres worth of land. Build it all from completely scratch Carrington, go brand new. Because one thing that will do straight away is it will bring players and it will bring sponsorship. Because companies will want to be the main naming rights sponsor for that training facility because it's the best and it's well known. From there, you bring the best players, you get the better environment, you get a better culture. Suddenly, everybody's happy at the club. Then you go to step B, which is you then need to influence the fans. You build them a new stadium. You do what you have to do. You repair the plumbing system so you're not going to have urinal in the toilets. You do the bare minimum for a couple of years, but tell United fans what your ultimate plan is when it comes round to that stage. But the only problem with all this that I'm saying is I don't necessarily think that's going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe's first influence. Or if he is thinking that way, he's a mug. The first influence that you need to do is you need to buy the 69% that this family owned of our football club. They need to be exterminated, gone completely. And from that day dot is when a lot of Manchester United fans will give you a chance. But until that time, there's always going to be that thing in the back of your mind thinking, the Glazers can always veto this. It's their club. If he goes forward and he says, I found a couple of golf courses, Joe. I found a couple of golf courses, Jim. I want to build a sporting complex on it. Absolutely. No worries, Jim. Who's paying for it? Oh,
well, that's
I'm
the
paying
thing.
for it with 29%. Right, and then suddenly that's where the bust up in the argument is. And that's where I said before, the paper isn't as thick as the water. So if you're going to go down with it, and like you were saying about culture, aggression, everything, you will get them characters come to your football club if you have the best facilities, the best training facility, the best people in different areas and places, and you will get the best performance. That's how modern day football is, unfortunately. You don't see a wonder story happen in football. When Leicester did what they did with the budget, the facilities and everything, it was a one-off. It will never, ever happen again. And Manchester United are at that Leicester stage right now. They have a crippled stadium. They have a crippled ownership that doesn't really want to put any money in. And they have probably arguably one of the worst training facilities in world football. They're better in the Championship. That's how decrippled this is as our football club. So if you want to get back onto an even playing field, get rid of the family and then tell United fans what we want to hear. But until then, you can bring in, Omar, you can bring in all these guys. The Glazers still sign off on anything that they want to do. And that's the concern. So anything that goes forward from there, you've got to pass it through Joe, you've got to pass it through the owners. So in 18 months' time, if he buys them out, that's when you can sit there and say things might change. But like I say, it comes down to culture and mindset. Like Jarvis and you said, Stu, it comes down to culture and mindset. But those characters, they're going to Manchester City because of the facilities. They're going to Liverpool because of the atmosphere, the culture of that club. They're going to those rival clubs because it's better that is right now. But the only thing United can sell you is what? History. That's it. That's all we're living off, history. There's nothing. There's nothing new or brilliant that's here right now.
It's time to recreate our new history. Just very, very quick. Somebody mentioned Joe Jordan. I've got to tell you this very, very quick Joe Jordan story. When I was a measly 16-year-old, and over here in the UK, Tom will remember this, we used to have something called a youth training scheme. So what would happen is people could go, instead of going to college, you could go to work, and a small amount of money per week, and it'd pay for your beer at the weekend. Absolutely superb. So as a footballer, I chose a sports shop. And I remember being in the sports shop one day, in should walk the Puma rep, and none other than Mr. Martin Buchan himself. And this is where we were with footballers from yesteryear to today. And I remember having a good hour. He showed me the Puma Kenny Dalgliish's at the time, Dalglish silver and gold. Anyone who used to wear Puma Kenny Dalglish, they were the Puma Kings. They were the boots at the time. But he showed me a very new boots, which was an all leather, better leather boots, which had kind of an orange sole, but in the instep it had a unique, revolutionary kind of support mechanism. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the boot was called, but anyway, a week later, Arthur Albiston, our left back, was wearing those, and he was the first guy to wear those particular boots. I'll have to try and work out what they were called because I can't remember. But anyway, a very short story there of when I met Martin Buchan out of Manchester United when he was working for Puma. Guys, there is 76 watching. I think we've got 66 likes or something along those lines. Stephanie, you'll have to update me because I don't know. But I'm going to give the video another shout. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be able to get it done right time. So please hit that like button. That would be brilliant.
So it's come to our attention that about 90% of you on YouTube have not yet learned how to smash the like button. What? So today, we're going to learn.
No! God,
are you ready?
Please, no! No!
All right.
No!
And that is how you smash the like button. Hit the like button. What did I say?
Hit the like button.
Exactly. Don't forget it.
Nice.
Sorry, Jarvis. That's what you get when you work with amateurs such as me. I'm not the consummate professional. Everybody thinks I am. Trust me, I'm not.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you're doing a very good job. I just want to say it was on a request from the boss himself, Mick Ruby, who said, thank you for giving me the night off. Love to watch you and engage. Jarvis, smash the like with you. Great tutorial. So, yeah, this was for you, Mick.
Mick's very happy with that, by the way, because he put that together today. So he's exceptionally happy. So there you go, Gaffer. Just for you, we've done it. We'll give it another 67 likes. Absolutely superb. 84 of you watching. Please keep getting involved. We're doing our very best to keep up with the VAR room. Thank you, sweetie. Really, I appreciate that, babe. We're trying our very, very best to get together and keep the VAR room involved. So please forgive me. I'm new at this. Jarvis is more the professional than I am. And Tom was probably giggling in the background every time I open my mouth, which I don't blame him. guys. We've covered such a lot in an hour. We've been going an hour yet. So we've got another 35 minutes or so to go. I did want to touch on Berreda first. Who's next and why? So I'm going to go to you, Jarvis. Then Tom, come straight in if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, who's next? We have seen this. I put this out in the chat while we were talking about how we envision this owner structure to be.
Yeah.
I'll just scroll up and see if I find it because it's like 10 minutes ago, and there's so many chats.
It's been amazing today.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Just keep it going. I will find it because I need it when I talk.
Tom's mentioned Dan Ashworth, and I actually think he's quite pivotal to us. So I've read lots of articles, and people are saying, why would Dan Ashworth leave Newcastle to come to us? You know, they're asking the same things about Berreda. And I think Dan Ashworth is probably more of an influential, or should be a more influential figure than Berreda and actually Paul Mitchell. I think he's the one that we actually desperately need to come in and start to shape what he envisages. Tom made a great point about he's going to potentially want to come in. He's going to want to do look at the South American market. So he's going to want scouts out there. He's going to want scouts in Asia, scouts maybe in India, and underdeveloped markets where we're not getting these players from, but yet Manchester City or Liverpool or PSG or wherever can find these hidden gems. Football's always been about finding hidden gems, and just because they're not an Mbappe, they're not a Pogba, they're not a Clivert, etc., they don't come with this hugely popular name, it doesn't mean they can't play the game. They just have learnt it differently. And I'm looking, and I think he's somebody that can come and set a footballing structure out and set a way of working that will allow everyone else, that will allow, certainly will allow Eric Ten Hag to become the best he can possibly be. Now, we've all got our thoughts on Ten Hag. I don't think it's a Ten Hag discussion tonight for me, but it is a discussion about, can we give him everything that he needs to flourish? And I think Dan Ashworth can. And I'm not a name drop. I don't just go for names for the sake of it. I think Tom's right. You are as well, Jarvis. No, none of us heard about Omar Berreda, and if we did, we paid no attention to him. When you think of Man City, it's Tixi, it's Murbach or whatever his name is. Those are types of people we consider to head City up. We went into interest in Berreda. People are talking, let's get Paul Mitchell in, and I'm going, okay, let's get him in. But is there anybody out there that might be slightly better? People like Dougie Freeman, but he's not a Paul Mitchell. Whoa, what's Freedman done? He's not Paul Mitchell. Just call because Paul Mitchell pulled out Monaco and did this and did that. Who knows? And people are talking about Campos as well. Oh, Campos has done this. Campos has done that. He's at PSG at the request of Kylian Mbappe. We don't want anything that.
I think he's 71, Stu. Campos.
You are sorry, buddy.
Is he quite old, Campos?
He is. He's old. He's an old.
Luis Campos, yeah.
So I'm not kind of. I'm more interested in if we are getting. Like for me, I just think if there is somebody out there that's a little bit left field and we've not heard of, we've not considered, wouldn't that be a better move than just to get somebody like Paul Mitchell in? But Dan Ashworth, I actually believe, is the one, because when you look at what he did at Brighton, how he structured Brighton and where Brighton came from to where they are today, absolutely phenomenal. Really, really phenomenal. And I think he would be the one for me. So let me put it to you, Jarvis, and then Tom, come straight in, please.
Yeah, we have a lot of options, not only Mitchell. There's a lot of names going around. You mentioned Campos, and we have like Marcus Mann in Hanover and Pereira in Sporting Club. I'm just reading from a list here. Even Pavel Nedved is one of who is up and coming, and names we have heard of. But as I start here, this is how they have envisioned the MUFC club will ownership, with Ratcliffe on top, Dave Brailsford, Ineos director of sport, Jean-Claude Blanche, Ineos sport CEO, and then we have Omar Berrada as CEO, and Dan Ashworth, director of football, Paul Mitchell, head of recruitment, and Nick Cox as head of academy. So for me, this looks very good. But I've been thinking, if something happens with Manchester City and people are jumping ship, we have one guy who's really good. His name is Kike Carcel in Girona. He's 49 years old, and I think he was a goalkeeper when he was playing, and he was even in Barcelona at one time, but he never played really much. But he's really good, and he has done some really good signings for Girona. They signed this. I don't know if he's Russian or Ukraine, who scored all the goals for Girona this year. They got him for like 15 million, and now he scored 15, 20 goals.
Aren't they top La Liga.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are top of La Liga. The only problem with Girona is they are owned by Sheikh Mansour, and they have Pep's brother on the board.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
but the thing is, if they are jumping ship, and they know
I think he's the
something,
chairman as well, isn't he, Pep's brother?
I think so.
I could be wrong.
There was that link, wasn't there? Yeah, they've come from nowhere, haven't they? Because they were nowhere last season. Girona at all. They were nowhere.
It's Pere Guardiola is his brother.
Yes.
Pere.
Yes.
I don't know how they pronounce it in Spain, so you have to excuse me. But there's a lot of opportunities, and I don't know if is it Joe Glazer and Jim Ratcliffe who will make the appointment, or is it now Omar Berrada who will make the appointments?
Well, he can't make anything till, is it July 1st, Tom, when he starts?
He will start working right away. He has a home office.
He'll be.
I mean, he's resigned already, so
yeah, he's finished.
I'd be surprised if he's just sat there waiting. You know, what's he doing? Gone to the laundrettes to get his suit dry cleaned? I don't know.
I don't know. I would imagine. I mean, look, if you believe reports, he's probably been working for us since December, because that's when their first approach happened, and it wouldn't have taken long. I wouldn't have thought to put a financial package together for him that he would have been excited about. I don't see it being too much of an issue to get Dan Ashworth, but I would like to see somebody out of left field that we hadn't heard of, that, as you quite rightly say, has been instrumental in the growth of smaller clubs. I mean, there's a wonderful thing happening, isn't there, in Como, Serie B, where Thierry Henry's a part owner and Fabregas is a part owner. He's now manager. But do you know who the CEO is? Dennis Wise. Yeah, exactly. I think he's been there for a few years or a couple of years, or he's COO, he's something, general manager, something. But he's and he's been working, and nobody's would even consider. I'm not saying Dennis Wise before everyone in the VAR room goes. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, that's the kind of surprise that you don't know that's happening in football. And it's a great story, there. And like I say, Girona, I didn't really pay any attention to them this season. And they've slowly but surely climbed up the league. Nobody's paid any attention to Alonso's team in Germany, but yet they're 7 points clear, aren't they? Undefeated, not lost a game, drawn 3 all season. And now all of a sudden Tuchel is in this world of pain. Harry Kane's thinking, crikey, I went to Bayern to win a title. That's not going to work out for me. I'm never going to win a title ever in my career. Harry Kane is. And then they're making ridiculous signings like Eric Dyer, potentially Kieran Trippier. And, everyone's up in arms at Bayern. But what's happening in Germany, what's happening in Spain, and what's happening to an extent in France with Nice is brilliant. And there's good people underneath the playing staff and above the playing staff that's allowing and shaping this to happen. And that's what I'm looking for Manchester United moving forward. Be interested to see what people think in the VAR room about that. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to cut you off, mate.
No, you're fine, Stu. I completely echo everything that you've said. Look, in terms of bringing people in and personnel and everything, even if it would, come down to it, like the best way that I can always say with people who are the best in class or the best people in football, they're still in the job. That's the one thing that I will say that is always a true comment to make, in terms of they must be good if some club wants them or they've kept them for however long. For example, Dan Ashworth was at Brighton for, I think it was about 4 or 5 years, and then he'd worked with the FA for 4 or 5 years with the England managers, building development of young players in the England group and camp to get them to high performance so that they could win a European trophy. And under that sort of model that he'd built, they've nearly done that the last couple of tournaments. They should have won the Euros, arguably, and they got all the way nearly to winning the World Cup. So there is those arguments in case for his body of work, Dan Ashworth. Then, yeah, I get the point that everybody was saying before. Why would he leave Newcastle? I think the only thing that comes down with Newcastle, and people will throw money straight away and say Man United will offer him a bigger paycheck and he'll come. I don't necessarily think that will be what convinces the guy. It's influence that I think Dan Ashworth is more a character of. If he has more influence coming to Manchester United than he currently has at Newcastle, I think he'd go straight away. And the only thing I'm going to say in terms of the overall football community with Newcastle is because they are so big as a club based upon the ownership model that they have in place. That ownership model that they have in place doesn't just run Newcastle. It runs 4 big Saudi Arabian clubs, and they want to market and bring players to and from that league. So if you're in Dan Ashworth's situation, you're almost in 2 different worlds. You've got the club that you live in right now, but then it's almost as if because you're an employee of that ownership, you have to try and satisfy those other clubs that's a part of their model as well. Kind of like what Omar Berrada's done with the City Football Group, where he's had to run so many different operations, as well as the main focus being Manchester City, because that's the big glorified club out of all of them, in the same way that Newcastle is. And I know that the Premier League clubs voted on the ban between, signings to and from, neighbouring sort of clubs, if you like, and the multi-club ownership that you can't send players to Saudi Arabia, for example. There's the story Al Hilal's Ruben Neves potentially going on loan to Newcastle because they needed some midfielders because I think they had a couple of injuries, and then it was all shut down because they didn't actually want the player in the end anyway. But I think if it comes down to it, guys, the best thing for me is I don't really rate experience in football. That's just my personal opinion. You can be at a club 20, 30 years experience in football. I don't care. It depends on your qualities of that experience. You can be a brilliant football director for 3 years out of, say, 15. That might just be your luck in football in terms of recruitment. That's how it is. So if we're going off of quality, Dan Ashworth's time at Brighton, that's quality. 4 or 5 years of quality work. Newcastle, if I'm being honest, I think it's been a little bit hit and miss because some of the players they've brought in has been successes. Some of them, I'm a bit meh. You brought in Lewis Hall, you've not really used the kid, and he's supposedly a future player for you. You've brought in other characters and players, like you brought in Isak, but you're already looking at potentially getting another number 9 in. You're getting Miguel Almiron, who's a fan favourite player out of a football club.
It's gone,
there's not really any succession plan for him. Alan Saint-Maximin was their superstar player when he was there. As soon as he got through the door, he got rid of the kid. And he's gone to Saudi Arabia. And let's face it, nobody even hears about him anymore. They don't rave about him. So there's different. Tonali's another one. Like I look at that deal as well, and I think, how can you be so neglect to not understand that there was a case of, betting allegations against the guy, and you've still signed him, and he's their record signing, if I'm not mistaken. It really is staggering. And the FFP issues that they're in right now is problem caused because of that. That's a Dan Ashworth problem. He's told them to buy the player. He said he's a brilliant player for you. Let's go and get him. But I do look at some things, and listen, you can pick about at certain people's CVs and their credentials and stuff. The only thing that I've ever rated Dan Ashworth's work was with the FA and Brighton. Newcastle, I'm on a level playing field. He's not necessarily been there enough to have major influence and success, but I think he's been a bit hit and miss and firing in terms of the players that he has brought in. And I think he's probably just only edging. He's got more right than wrong. But that Tonali one, if he did that at Manchester United, it would be a scandal. Let's face it, it would be. Yeah. And a lot of us here, a lot of people would be sitting here and saying, you signed your world record player who can't play for you for months because of betting allegations, and as a football director, you didn't know. But you still sanctioned the signing. You still bought the player. If that was Manchester United, and for example, you have it with Anthony, you paid £90 million for him, and he comes in and he's got these betting charges and allegations, and then he can't play for, say, 6 months or 12 months, whatever, we'd all be sitting here saying, Dan Ashworth, get him sacked. He's incompetent. Get him sacked. We would all be saying that. So at the end of the day, you can learn by your mistakes and whatnot. But
I'm with you on that one, Tom.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I am with you on that one. And I've always said this. I think, you look at a player that's played brilliantly for another club and then he comes to us and he can't perform. It's exactly the same with, the likes of Paul Mitchell.
Yeah. If I had to personally, though, throw a name into the ring, if you like, per se, he's not currently at a football club anyway. I would have said Paolo Maldini. I thought the work that he did at AC Milan. The only problem is it comes with a contingency because he worked with an assistant at AC Milan who was just as brilliant as he was in terms of recruitment and the players that they brought in. The one thing though that I liked that they did with AC Milan in particular was they had all those debts and they had all those riddles in terms of that they couldn't. I think they were struggling to even afford a player over £30 million at one point in time. And the best case to find the best talent in classes when you're in desperate situations, how do they operate? How do they work? Dan Ashworth comes to Man United right now, like tomorrow, he's going to struggle because he's on a budget. And yeah, he's worked with budgets at Brighton and at these other football clubs. Brighton and Manchester United is different. If you get a signing wrong at Brighton, nobody talks about it. If you get a signing wrong at Manchester United, it's hot paper news. That player's in the media, they're getting the backlash of it every single week. So for me, I like Dan Ashworth's characters and characteristics. If he comes in, I'll get behind the guy because I think based upon his work that I've seen, he's done better at two jobs than the one that he's currently in right now. But he's not been there long enough for me to judge it on.
Agreed.
But Paul Mitch is a little bit different. I agree with what you put, Jarvis, when you said that you'd put him in as head of recruitment. I would, because the one thing that I know with Paul Mitchell is if you bring the guy in, the best work I've ever seen him do in football come at Southampton and at Spurs, and he was both head of recruitment at both. And he worked with Pochettino when he transitioned over. That was one of Pochettino's contingencies from going from Southampton to Spurs. I want to bring this guy with me. And they brought him with him. And he brought in a lot of good players. Son was there, Dele Alli, Moussa Dembele. There was a couple of other players that they brought into that system. I could be wrong. I think it was a part of the Ericsson deal before he actually got to Spurs, based upon that he was on a leaving period, but he gave sign-off to buy certain players. So there was a couple of contingencies between the two of them. Like I say, it depends on if you bring these guys in and there's the influence there that they need to operate, I'm happy with it. I don't mind. But especially even with bringing in Omar Berrada, personally, if you're Omar Berrada, I don't think he's sitting in his office, wherever in Manchester, saying, I want to work with Dan Ashworth. That's my only issue. I don't necessarily think he is there saying, Dan Ashworth's the guy that I think we should bring in. Because I think this guy's a lot more smarter and savvy in terms of it. I think he'd go down the model of what we've all said. I think he'd go for somebody from, somewhere where we've never heard it. He might go for somebody from the Bayer Leverkusen team that's doing really well right now. And say, do you know what? I want to recruit this guy. He's not got experience as a sporting director, but he's done brilliantly as a head of recruitment or a scout or whatever. I want to bring this guy
But
in.
Tom, I just want to say one more thing. When it comes to Omar Berrada, I read several people are saying this is Brailsford's signing, that he's been working on this deal with Omar Berrada. So he's pulling the strings. Brailsford.
Brailsford.
Yeah. He's the mastermind behind everything.
I think Brailsford comes down to more performance. That's the only thing, because the guy he's a high performance adrenaline junkie. He's that sort of guy. But I think I agree with what you say, Jarvis. That I think he's pulling the strings of it. Don't be disillusioned. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's successful in business, football. He's got successful people around him who's been successful in sport, who he trusts with his money and his investment. So he's got people like Brailsford who might know a couple of people. The only thing that I think holds the water with the Ashworth case is Brailsford and Ashworth are very pally-pally. They always have been in terms of Team GB. You take Team GB cycling and you take the men's England's national team, men's and women's teams that Dan Ashworth headed over. They're very pally-pally. Paul Mitchell, I think, will come and sphere probably in the same conversation. They probably have had a pint or a glass of rosé wine talking about football, or they've been at a Premier League directors meeting or something like that. They've been on an FA course and they've, learned each other. They've built those reputations and connections. That's the one thing that I will say. So if it comes down to it, guys, like I say with the Dan Ashworth thing, I think if you take anything from what we've done with Omar Berrada, you can get anybody in football. Anybody can be got out of anywhere. That's the one thing that I will say. It just takes the right words, or in a negative light for what our football club has been in recent years. Money can tempt people away. But when you're a part of that group and that football club, especially if they get found guilty of financial irregularities, you best believe they're slipping in some brown envelopes to stay there. If they are as dodgy as they say that they are, they need to keep that guy.
Yeah, well, we'll close that segment off now, guys, because I think it's been a fascinating conversation. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. We've still got 74 people watching, 75 likes. It's been a tremendous show. My final take on that is I'm more encouraged by somebody that wants to leave a very cushy job at maybe Newcastle and at City and want a challenge. And I like people who want challenges. I always talk about players taking the path of least resistance. Funnily enough, it's blown up in Harry Kane's face at the minute, but that was his path of least resistance. He hadn't got a championship. Chances are he was going to get one at Bayern Munich, etc. I want people that want to come to Manchester United because that's the challenge. That's the pinnacle of where they are in football. And that's what I want to be. We've got 10 minutes to go, guys. Let's have a little bit of fun, shall we, for 10 minutes? Oh, Tom's disappeared. Oh, okay. Well, we'll have a bit of fun in the VAR room. Ask us some ridiculous questions if you like, whatever you want. We've got 10 minutes, so fire away. But before we answer this question below, Jamie, Jarvis has pulled up Choupo-Moting's stats for us to go through. So Jarvis, take it away, please.
Yeah, Choupo-Moting. He's been linked to us today.
Heavily.
I don't know if you can read this, but this is his stats. He played 109 games for Bayern. He scored 38 goals, 10 assists, 6 yellow cards. So I would say it's decent, but at the club as Bayern Munich, you should score more goals. I don't know. Harry Kane is on 38 goals already this season. About that. And for Schalke, he's had 22 goals in 106 games. Mainz 22 goals in 81 games. Paris Saint-Germain only scored 9 goals. And he's played for Stoke 32 games, 5 goals. So it's not I would call a prolific out and out goal scorer. But maybe he does another job because we know and what kind of signings he like. He had Sebastian Haller as his main striker at the Ajax, and he's like a big bloke. He doesn't score many goals, but when he came in Ten Hag's system, he suddenly blossomed, and he was, I don't know, was he the top scorer of the Champions League one season?
He was Sebastian Haller. It was a big surprise to see him. And the type of player that he turned him into, it was amazing. Tom said apologies, he had to go and take a phone call, but he said thanks to everyone in the VAR room, and thanks to you, Jarvis. He didn't thank me for some reason. I don't know what I'd done to him. But, Tom, I'm joking, mate. It's always great to have you, and we look forward to seeing you again next Monday. So Jamie, I hope that answered your question. With regards to Choupo-Moting. Right, there was a question. I've kind of I don't know what I've done with it.
I have a question here if you don't have it ready. This one from Al Mac that came in earlier.
Yes,
and you can have this one too. Do you think Sir Jim Ratcliffe will sack Erik ten Hag?
No, I don't. Actually, I know that's not going to cheer a lot of people up, but I don't think he will, and I think that he would have. And I'll tell you why. Actually, I think Brailsford would have gone in, done his audit, and he would have been reporting various things back to Sir Jim. And I think he's probably said to Sir Jim, how anyone could work for this shire of shite for 10 years, particularly the last 5 to 6 years, is beyond me. And I think he's probably seen enough of Ten Hag's personality, his drive, his determination to want to be able to fix it for him and allow Ten Hag to fix it. So Al, I don't think he will. No, based on that. I can remember the question. My absolute sincere apologies for the person that asked it. I can't find it on my stream, but the question was, Jarvis, who's the better, Bruno or Casemiro?
Yeah.
Great question.
That's a great question, but it's kind of difficult to answer because they don't play the same role. You know, they have different attributes and different I would say positions. So, but for the team, if you let's say who's the most important player for the team,
Yes.
is that the question? Maybe.
Yeah. I
For
think that's what
me,
you're getting at. Yeah.
well, if you see it for the last 3 seasons, I would say Bruno is the most important player because he's been detrimental for us when it comes to creating chances. He's been our only creative output when it comes to going forward, and that means a lot. But this season he has stagnated a lot, I would say, and I don't think he suits Ten Hag's style of play in a way, and I think Ten Hag needs to do a lot of compromises in how he set up his team and how he wants to play. It's more about like wild press and you know, Bruno is kind of wasteful when it comes to possession, and in a way I'm not sure if Ten Hag likes that, because when he played at Ajax it was about dominating the other team and keeping possession. Even though we had some counter attacks and transitions, but it was more about dominating and keeping possession. But now with Bruno, we're losing possession a lot of the time. The question is it Bruno's fault or is it the attacker's fault? Because we have last season we had the link up with Bruno and Rashford.
Yeah.
But you know, this year it hasn't worked at all, and Rashford is as wasteful on the ball as Bruno. He just turn on his tunnel vision and runs through to 4 guys and try to dribble and lose the ball. So I think it's difficult. This season, I would say Casemiro is more important. What do you think, Stu?
No, it's a brilliant answer. That is, it's a Rajat, by the way. So my apologies. Thank you, Stephanie, for bailing me out then, because I was treading water and sinking on that one. So thank you ever so much for that one. Totally agree. I think for me, the way that I would view it as a centre half, I always think a defensive midfield is the most important part in my play, because they operate in my particular triangle or my particular foursome as a goalkeeper. Me and my partner and the central midfielder. I think for me, I don't think we played to Bruno's strengths anywhere near what we should have done this season. But I think he's not been the Bruno that we saw 18 months ago, 2 years ago, you know, when he was hitting top form. Casemiro, for me, you need a player, and you were a dainty winger, weren't you, Jarvis? You were a skillful footballer. You need a player who can win the ball and drop it off to you and say, get on with it, pal. Because that's what we do. I was a central midfielder when I was coming up through, before I moved down to centre half. I'd get the ball, I'd win it, and I'd move it on and say, get up there and score us the goals, lads. Because my role is to enforce, to stop, to disrupt, to get at the opposition. I want you guys then to go and do what you do. So for me, I would imagine there's a sense of frustration within Casemiro right now that he's winning that ball, or certainly last year he was winning that midfield, the way that he would just move 10 yards, head on a swivel, stay, just in case there was turnover of possession. Once we realised it wasn't, he'd move another 2 or 3 yards, stop, just in case there was turnover of possession. So he was always able to cover the spaces he needed to cover. And we're not seeing that. And that's why we were on a show last week, Jarvis, you spoke about this 15-yard gap between midfield and attack. Brilliant. Casemiro's there. That's where he is. That's where he sits. That's where he lives. And Bruno, when he gets that, he's just not being as effective as what he was. He's not thinking about his passing. He's not deciding quickly enough what he wants to do with it. And it doesn't help, though, when you've got certain players, when you're laying the ball off and you're looking for a quick 1-2 to penetrate the defence, where you might give it to Anthony, and Anthony's then pouncing about doing a fucking step over and the ball's not even moving. It doesn't help. And there are certain players and elements within the game where the frustration, for me, and it does while I'm watching, it just grows and grows and grows. And I think Casemiro, has had that issue this year, particularly. People are saying his legs are gone and all of this. It's brains. Where Casemiro plays, it's brains. It really is. Where Bruno plays, it's a bit of everything. And yeah, Captain Caveman, Bruno's just too frivolous with the football. You can't argue with that, can you?
Yeah, but you're touching on a lot of important things when it comes to football. It's called the 20-yard rule. I think it was the old Italian manager Arrigo Sacchi who, if you remember him, Arrigo Sacchi, he invented that rule. You know, it's like written in Italian tactics: 20 yards, 25 meters from the defender to the attacker, and this is how the unit should move up and down all the time. But the problem now with United is, I think we can compromise from back to front. But my problem is we don't tuck in from the sides. We have like 4 people high up and 1 midfielder in the middle and one defensive behind him and 4 behind. So in a way you have a huge gap on the side. So the problem for our defensive midfielders now is they have to defend all the width of the field also, not just back and forth. And that's a big problem.
No, that's absolutely perfect. So what you're talking about, Sacchi, was absolutely right. And Sacchi was talking about moving up and down as a unison, as a unit. When I coach kids, I get them to stand in their position, and we do a little bit of a game, a bit like the Okikoki. Whoa, the Okikoki. So you move them up as a unit, and you come back as a unit. But Sacchi's principle was 10 yards. Those 10 yards. And what do we always say as fans and as footballers and as runners? 10 yards is the speed. If you can't catch somebody in those 10 yards, you're not going to catch them in the further 10 yards. That's where he came up with the 20 yards, Jarvis. You're absolutely right. We've got some great questions coming in. Is Mount a future number 10? Absolute brilliant question, that Captain Gamer. And I'm going to bottle this one. Oh, I'll take it then. All right. No. Is Mount a number 10? I don't know with Mason Mount what his best position is likely to be. If you ask me, is Bruno a 10 or an 8? I guarantee you no. Me and Jarvis are line on he's an 8. That's where he's played his best football as an 8, 100%. I don't know where Mount fits for me. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that he doesn't fit Manchester United. He's clearly a talented footballer. He showed in Chelsea when he's fit. He's a dangerous footballer because he's got a work rate, but he's got a footballing brain, and he knows where the goal is. I mean, I think in one season he scored 8 to 10 goals, didn't he? And those were 8 to 10 important goals. And we want these important goals out of a player. So, Captain Gamer, I think it's a great question, but I'm going to lean on an 8 for me.
I'm just going to come in quick with an answer. For me, I think if I try to analyze Erik ten Hag's mind, I think he sees Mason Mount probably in kind of similar to how he sees Frankie de Jong, like a roaming number 6. But that's why I saw him start with Casemiro, Mount, and Bruno in the first games of the season. But they were too similar in their movement, Bruno and Mason Mount, so they left a big gap. But I think in a perfect world, maybe he will like to try him in the number 8 and have him be more of a playmaker in a way. So I agree with Stu, number 8.
Yeah, we agree. The great questions coming in. Will Onana get dropped tomorrow? Short answer from me on that one. I don't think he will get dropped at Manchester United or at Cameroon. I don't know what he's got on people, this guy, but no, he won't get dropped. I will say one thing though. I love his attitude. Look, I've made mistakes. I'm going to get better. Just trust me. At this point in time, we're all a bit fed up with him. He knows we're all a bit fed up with him. I think he's probably fed up with himself. I think he would rather not be at the AFCON and just go away and stick his head in the sand somewhere for 2 weeks and try and get his brain together. But in answer to your question, Captain Caveman, not for me.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I watched 5 to 10 minutes of the United stand with Mark Goldbridge before I came on the show, and he talked about Onana a little bit, and he mentioned his save percentage this season in the Premier League. It's 70%, so it's not bad. It's okay. His stats are not too bad, but he's very bad at coming off his line, for example. And we wanted to ship out a shot stopper like De Gea to bring in a sweeper keeper in Onana, but his worst stats is coming off the line. So his shot stopping is not that bad, but I think we have come to a point where I would like to see Bayindir get a chance.
Oh, that's a great point. I'm with you on that one. There's a couple of things. I always used to bemoan the yardage between our centre halves and De Gea. It was always about 10 or 15 yards. De Gea never used to cover the box. We've eradicated that. Now he will come up and Arnu and he will cover that 10 or 15 yards. And he's a much better shot stopper than we're all thinking because of the types of goals he's conceded. And I think that's the issue with everybody at the moment. There's been these De Gea type mistakes where he's gone and chucked one into the back of the net. And somebody made, I saw a brilliant point the other day. If Onana was playing under Fergie, he would have done what he did to Taibbi and kicked him out after 4 games. But it's one of those. Jamie, do we ever score from corners? Well, I think we scored a couple over the past 2 years. Not many.
Couple,
yes,
two.
Yeah, I think if Vicky was on the channel, she'd refer you to a certain Varane goal where he popped on with the header. Corners. Look, I've always said this, Jamie. If somebody came to me back when I was playing in my heyday, we've got a set piece coach coming. I'd just laugh at them. I mean, what do you need a set piece coach for? You line up. A corner's a corner. You can line up. Man marking is your best way. We hybrid, by the way, so we don't necessarily zone on mark, but we don't necessarily man mark. We mark a vicinity where the player is. If you can't work out how to defend a corner and score from a corner without somebody telling you where to be, and you are a seasoned professional, I'm sorry, guys, but you need shooting. You just need shooting. I mean, I don't mean to be so flippant, Jamie. I can't get my head around a set piece coach. So that for me is: do we ever score from corners? No, we're not brave enough. We're not brave enough.
What I miss from our set piece, especially when it comes to our attacking set pieces, is our corner kicks. I think we are not precise enough on the serve. You all saw how Pedro Porro put his serves in for Spurs. They were coming in fast with a curve. Was impossible to defend against. So the Spurs attackers just had to run forward and had the ball. So I think it was a little bit better last season when Eriksen played more regularly and he was on the set piece because he's a little bit better. But I don't think Bruno and Luke Shaw are the guys to bring us forward on this point. So we need a good set piece taker, and maybe this is the place where Mason Mount comes in.
Well, what I would say, Jarvis, is you're absolutely right. Do us a favour, just beat the near post. Just put a little bit more effort into the corner so it just drops around the centre spot. That's really where it should be. Any decent corner taker, set piece specialist, or wrap his foot around it so it drops roughly around the centre spot area. There's 2 reasons for that. And I'm not a set piece coach, just out of it, but there's 2 reasons for that. Is A, it takes it away from the goalkeeper, and B, you're taking it away from the main central defenders from heading it. That's the idea of why you would drop it in centre spot. But I'm not a set piece coach, Jarvis. I just know football a bit. Don't sure I quite understand that question.
And you just want to bring in this comment from Wiki.
Yes, you're right there, Vic. Yeah, stop doing stupid short corners. Yeah, we're not even very good at those, are we? It's ridiculous.
And Captain K-Man comes in. We struggle with the basics throw-in, so it baffles me. Yeah.
No, well, I look. He's they're all right. There are certain things where we just don't do it properly. We get the ball and we take our time. I get the ball. I encroach 5-6 yards all the time. and then I'm quickly gone before the ref can do anything about it. We don't. We get the ball, give it a rub on the old chest, stamp the feet, and then decide to do something with it. You think, what the fuck? Just get fucking gone. You know what I mean? You know, a good footballer, you know, uses their brains first, and we don't appear to use our brains. I don't know.
So back to the question.
On that one, yeah. Captain Cameron, maybe you could just elaborate on that for me, because I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Guys, we are 1 hour 40 into it. And it's absolutely flown by, pal. There's still 62 people watching. I think we're on about 75 likes, something along those lines. Thanks, Vicky, darling. Sleep tight, sweetie. And Jarvis, it's been a great show. Should we wrap it up, or should we see if there's any more questions coming in? Have you got any questions for us, guys?
Last chance. Last chance.
Last 78 likes. I don't think we're going to get the 100, but that's been absolutely brilliant. We can leave it for the next show, gents. Okay. Well, make sure you do that, Captain Caveman. Don't not ask the question, because we do want to answer that one. Good night, Raja. Good night, everybody in the VAR room. Jarvis, it's your show. I'm going to let you.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the people in the VAR room. We have Jamie Wayne coming in with a lot of good questions. Rayat, we have Captain Cayman also with a lot of good questions. Stephanie Griffith, thank you for keeping the score of the likes. You are fantastic doing this. We have Witterbird coming in, and we have Red J. Who else do we have here? We have the boss himself, Mick Ruby, in the chat. Good to see you in the chat, old friend. It's fantastic to have you just watching the show, not participating. But tomorrow night you will be on, and tomorrow morning you have a good guest on. Who was it? Who's on the show tomorrow? I have to check a little bit here. I think it's who's on. Yeah, we have Sal Warner. Will be coming on tomorrow morning in the morning show with Mick and breaking down the latest transfers and all of that stuff. So you gotta remember to tune in. I just want to say thank you to more people: Gas Taylor, Jamie Wayne. Gaz,
do you want to quickly ask your question, mate? We might have missed it. I'm ever so sorry if we have.
Is it this one?
Why are the players slow on the ball? Well, that's quite an interesting question. I like that question. Why does players slow on the ball?
For me, quick, I think it's on relations, on-field relations, because it goes so fast that you have to be intuitive. You got to know where the other guys are going. But we are always struggling with injuries, new lineup all the time, so we never get to set the relationships, and that's part of the problem. That's just what fell in on top of my mind.
Yeah, you've got confidence, useless from Jamie, and Captain Caveman says chemistry. I would agree with that. But for me, I don't think we've got speed of mind. I don't think our individual players have that speed of mind to be able to work the ball.
IQ.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Sorry, Gaz, we missed your question, pal. I'm really sorry about that. And I think you're right. It says it takes them over 5 seconds to pass. A good player, Gaz, is already, as the ball is coming to him, knows exactly what he's going to do with it. If he's got to take a touch, he'll know it, and he'll know he's got to take a touch by the players around his vicinity. Then he'll move it. But a really good, high-level, intelligent player, a Kevin De Bruyne type player, will move it quickly. He'll get it in and he'll move it. So he'll body shape it so he can pass it in the direction he wants to go with. So that's my thought process on it. So I hope that answers your question, Gaz. Jamie says his 8-year-old nephew's faster.
A little bit of banter there at the end. One last question for Rosmano.
Yeah, that is bone of contention for me, pal. An absolute huge bone of contention. I cannot for the life of me believe that any professional footballer playing at the elite level can't use both his feet. I am a 54-year-old next month footballer who can use both his feet. My right foot is my primary foot, but I am two-footed. I can shoot left, right-footed. I can cross with my left. I can pass with my left. In fact, I'm a right-footed player. When I was growing up, I used to use my left foot in the school playground all the time. And when I was coaching the kids and this team that I coach at the moment, they have to play with their weaker foot. So we do an exercise where you can only control and pass and shoot with your weaker foot. If you're dribbling, we're allowing you to use both feet, but control, pass, shoot on your weaker foot. It baffles me that a player of Ryan Giggs's quality, baffles me that a player of Anthony's undoubted quality, that he can't use his right peg, you know, or Giggsy couldn't use his right peg. Almiron can't use his right peg. I just honestly, it baffles me. So that's my.
I just want to mention one player that has impressed me when it comes to this. If you all remember, he used to play for Blackburn in the Premier League in the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. His name was Morten Gamst Pedersen.
Yeah, we linked.
You remember him?
Yeah.
He had a fantastic left foot, but he was actually right-footed while growing up. But his father told him, if you want to be a footballer, you got to practice with your left foot. So when he was, I think it was 10 to 12 years, he started practicing with his left foot, and he practiced that hard that at the end his left foot was the best foot. And when he played in the Premier League, he used his left foot, but he was as good on both feet. So
no, I remember Morten Gamst Pedersen. Gaz is right. So Bobby did used to take his boots off, and Bobby could shoot equally as powerful with his left or his right. And Captain Caveman says Anthony's left foot isn't that great either. He's absolutely very true. But I just thought it's a great one. And Jamie's coming in saying his relative is a Watford player. Brilliant. All the best with his career. Just get him to keep on training, Jamie, every day and learning. Listen, that's what you've got to. That's what you've got to do, and you'll get somewhere in life. We all will. Just before we go, just always remember, just to check in on people. If you've not heard of a friend of yours for a couple of days, somebody who's maybe active in a group chat, they've not said anything, just reach out.
Yeah.
You know, people suffer in silence all the time. And, you know, one of the reasons why Mick and Jarvis started MERC Realist TV, and they call it therapy sessions, it's so that we can all go to a place where we're all, you know, can speak freely. There's no bullying here. There's nothing. I think we've got Mark in the background. We've got Mark in the background. Hey, come and join it. Yeah, bring him in. Yeah, here he is.
Big up, guys. Sorry I'm late.
No, that's good. But always, whatever you do, just reach out to people, because you know, it's so important, especially in today's day and age. It's so important that we reach out. Good to see you, Mark. How are you, mate?
Chilling, bro. Do you know watch along for the AFCON, and it went late? You know, you was talking about Cameroon giving up another two goal lead. You know, to leave with a draw, their second draw in as many games, and you know, it's disappointing for the Cameroonians, you know? I mean, for Ghana, as in my opinion, my bad.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of it, really, if I'm being honest. I was going to try and watch some, but I haven't seen any of it. So it's I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me, really.
How did Onana do?
Onana?
Cameroon. Yeah, didn't he play for
plays
Cameroon?
Tomorrow. My bad. It was Ghana playing tonight.
You said Cameroon.
No, I made a mistake. I said Cameroon, but I meant to say Ghana, because Ghana played Mozambique. But you know, surprising, Mozambique, some of the teams that no one would never say, you know, they're the teams that turning up playing expansive high lines in the tournament, like Equatorial Guinea, you know.
Well, they beat Ivory Coast, didn't they?
Yeah, 4-0.
4-0, yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Smashed them.
And we haven't spoken about the great Bebe's wonder strike, have we? We haven't spoken about it. I couldn't believe that. What a strike that was. He's grown
it was crazy. And you know, I was going off all stream because, you know, the striker playing for Mozambique, he's like pretty much a 20L version of Rivaldo. And I'm like, what?
Oh, God, really?
Sure, if you look at the guy, he's like identical. Like literally, the only thing they did was add cornrows to his head.
I loved Rivaldo. What a player he was. He was amazing, Rivaldo. He was all left foot. I mean, he couldn't do much with his right peg.
Stu, I only remember Rivaldo for doing one thing in the World Cup. When he threw the ball, fell down. For me, please, don't do that.
Don't you remember the 3-3 draw at the Nou Camp, and Rivaldo was, I think he was in the 18-yard box, and I can't remember who he was backing into, but he got the overhead kick.
Bicycle kick, yeah,
overhead
kick.
But that's the tightest bicycle kick I've ever seen, because whoever it was, whether it was Stam or whoever, was so tight to him to whip it over in that short loop. Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
It was dreadful to see, bro. It was dreadful.
No, it was dreadful, but from a technique and a skill.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. But
what a finish! And I watched him years ago when he was at was it Olympiacos? He scored a free kick at Anfield. I went with a friend and I watched him, and I was well chuffed when Rivaldo stepped up and popped that free kick away. What a player Rivaldo was.
He carried that team through a lot of Champions League, you know. He was always that guy. He would get them there with an assist or a goal or something. It was good.
He's tremendous. I mean, he was almost overshadowed by Ronaldo, wasn't he, when you consider, because they came through at a similar time. And, Ronaldo was just on a different...
They don't make them like that guy anymore. The closest I've seen was Alexandre Pato, you know.
Oh, no, but I mean, we could have had Ronaldo at a PSV going for about 9 million quid. 9 million.
Should have had him, bro.
Oh,
he was amazing.
Still to this day, unbelievable.
I mean, the power, pace, and dribbling ability of that guy was like something to behold. You know, when you see Ronaldo running out of defense, you could sit there and know you're going to leave them all in the dust. Destroy the ankles.
I'll just move right, Ronaldo. You can just go that way, because you didn't. After Ronaldo, it was the same when Henry would run at you. You're just thinking to yourself, Jesus Christ, it's like a freight train, isn't it? Graceful freight train. What a player he was. But have you seen any of the show, Mark? Or
I watched the first few minutes when it was halftime in the game. I see you guys were talking about Omar Berrada, giving like a deep dive into what his capabilities were, what his experiences were. And I mean, I read about him a lot, and I think it was a very astute addition, an appointment by the board. And you know, it's one of those things that was shocking to me, because we have not made any such footballing astute decisions in like a decade. So I mean, okay, to be fair, we signed Ralph Ragnick, we had maybe Jose Mourinho, even getting Ten Hag initially when we got him. All of those things were good footballing decisions, but this kind of trumps all of those things, because you know, to start the structure, you need to have the head, and the CEO is going to hire the team that's going to be built around him to work with him. So, you know, for me now, all the speculation about Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell now seem like, okay, it's possible, but now we might be shocked to see that we get an appointment that no one's looking for, because as you know, he worked for the City Group, who has 11 clubs around 5 continents. There's probably a guy who's a sporting director at one of those teams that he likes, probably works with, thinks is very capable, and can make the move up. So don't be afraid that we hear a guy that just comes out of the woodwork from nowhere. You know, the next thing that for me, it's like it also seems like they're backing Ten Hag a little bit, because the City Group plays a similar style. Eric Ten Hag was also would have been shoe-in to replace Pep as one of the candidates. So I'm thinking this guy, we already have a coach that plays a style that something similar to what he's used to at the City Group. You know, he might just say, you know what, if this is what the club decided as the direction, maybe we build around this guy. And if he doesn't do it in the next year and a half, then we could just replace him at that time. Sarah, easy done.
I think, Jarvis made a similar point, really. I mean, I liked what Dan Ashworth can bring for us, for sure, but I also suggested that, people should start to look farther afield. And I spoke about Como in Italy, where Dennis Wise is CEO or general manager. Not many people know that. I haven't got a clue what he's doing out there, and he's been there for a few years. You know, there are people out there that you would consider to be, no, I wouldn't want to touch him, that actually might just have that je ne sais quoi that we actually need. So that's what I think anyway. But thanks for joining us, Mark. We are in extra time.
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought you guys were. I was shocked to see you guys were still on. I was just like, oh, let me just
No,
pop in
I
and see
was.
what you guys
Well,
are
me and
doing.
Jarvis, we were answering some brilliant questions. Actually, we had about 5 or 6 great questions come in. I was going to pose. I'll pose it next time. A little bit of a question at the very beginnings. What do you put in your football bag? I did something similar a couple of years ago, and everybody comes back with something completely different. And stuff like that, what do you carry? Because my missus on a Friday night, if we're playing on a Saturday, or a Saturday night if we're playing on a Sunday, and I spend an hour getting my bag ready, and she's like, "What the are you doing?" She thinks I'm a big kid because my bag is by the front door porch, ready to go. So I can just. And she's saying, "What do you need that for? Why do you need two of those?" And this, and if my bag isn't packed to my liking, I start panicking. I was like, "Oh my god, what happens if this happens and I haven't got this?" And so it's a little question I might just pose, and I'll be interested to see. And it's only a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun. So if you want,
I can tell you one thing I always had in my bag, and that's a tin of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yeah, but isn't that's what it's all about? Because I never put vapor rub in mine, but that's what it's all about. So if you are watching and you're interested in little silly stuff like that, would be interested to know what's in your football bag for next.
To be fair, you want to know why I always had it? To be fair, because I felt like sometimes football is a little bit more hands-on than a lot more physical, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like I would rub them on my hands and rub it around my neck. So when you have a free kick or someone is trying to when they touch it, it's like greasy. It makes them feel like what's on his skin. You know what I mean? So they don't try to put their hands there. So it keeps your view open. And then I'm never stuffy when I'm playing, so it's all great.
A friend of mine. This is going back years, by the way, and I don't condone any of this, so please don't do. But he used to have a very, very small, thin canister of deep heat. So he'd put it in his keks, and if he was having a bit of a thing, he'd just quickly on the back of somebody's shorts, shove it back in his keks. Obviously, we don't condone any of this. MUFC Realist TV is a fair channel, and we do everything by the book. And if you've got and again, people are watching. If you've got any funny stories of things that have happened to you on a football pitch, let us know, because that's what this is all about. The VAR room, getting involved with us. Again, if Jarvis lets us do that, because it's his show, and I've kind of taken over. So
but this was your night, Stu. So
I've enjoyed it.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, thank you for letting me host it. So we are coming up to the 2-hour mark, guys. So I see you've got something queued up at the back in the background. Do I see?
Yeah, I just wanted to add quick to show the Rivaldo goal, since we talked about it.
Oh, yes,
but I hope we don't get copyrighted. So I will play it without sound and just for 5 seconds. So pay attention. I will only play this once.
I'll only play this once. Oh, yes. Yeah, what a goal.
Wow. What a player. And you see the technique. He's totally in balance. Boom. Take it on his chest. He doesn't move either way. He's straight. So balanced. Fantastic technique.
My old mate, Mark Bellingham, his lad, Jude, he popped, did you see the bicycle kick he popped up with last night? It didn't go in.
Tough one. It didn't go in, though. It looked pretty decent.
It was really good the way he took it. Took it very similar to that, Jarvis, but obviously just inside the box. It wasn't outside the box like Rivaldo's goal. But I hope you've liked the stream tonight, guys. Hope I haven't bored you too much. I've thoroughly enjoyed hosting, so thank you very much, Jarvis, for handing.
We are on 81 likes, and I just want to go back and thank Mick Ruby for gifting 20 MUFC Realist TV memberships. And people, we always talk about likes, but we have to mention one more thing. We have something called subscription. So you can subscribe to the channel, and if you hit the bell, you will get a notification next time we go live. So it's up to you, but we would like you to subscribe, and you will catch the next show tomorrow morning with Sal coming on with Mick, and we have a late night show tomorrow night, and I think Wiki is on that panel
Wednesday.
Oh,
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. So
And
love.
Yeah, so
would be
I'll
great.
just shout out the guys before we close. Big up to you, RJ, for coming in. You always shout me out every stream, bro. I always see it, bro. I hope you see my reactions to you. Big up to you, my bro. Gaz Taylor with the plastic bag carrying his boots to football. Bro, I'm pretty sure you need to carry socks and shin pads, bro.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Big up Stephanie Griffith. She's oh my
Angie,
goodness.
Angie,
Oh my goodness. Angie. Legend, the legend Angie she's here, everyone.
Wow.
Big up
3,
to
2,
Angie.
1.
Thank you so much.
Good old Angie. That's amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Angie.
And Zora was gifted a membership, as well as Shane Star 94, Spain Kid, Marvin, Dwayne Blackwood, Jason the Cool Kid, Eamon Mulali, Sam Malone, Dirk Van Den Heuvel, Paul Warburton, Milas Kask were all given memberships by Angie. I hope you guys thank Angie very much for those memberships. Welcome to the MUFC Realist family, guys. Don't forget to smash the like button. And you know what? Share the channel around. Give it a Twitter share. Share it around on your YouTube page. Let's let everyone know that this channel has a really nice community. We welcome everyone to the shows. You can give your comments, give your views. Don't worry about being persecuted here, because everyone's views can be heard and will be heard. And we are always open to that, because you know what? More heads make the ideas easier to figure out. You know what I mean? So guys, big up to you all for joining Stu and Jarvis tonight. Thank you for having me, Stu. Great show. You can see by the likes. I think it's probably gone up to 90 right now. I hope you guys, big up to all the legends. Captain Caveman, coming in. Yali Malmeen is always here. Jamie Wayne making jokes about me being shy. I'm never that
guy. Hey, Gaz Taylor never wore shin pads. What a great topic that'd be.
I don't want to see your shins, buddy. I don't want to see them, bro. I'm pretty sure they got some marks on them.
Yeah, well, mine. I was very, very short, very, very tiny story, but I got caught a few years ago. It stood right through my shin pad. I got a lovely little scar, about that big, right the way through.
You know what? I used to play on the wing, and I had these big, huge mitre shin pads. The one that had the sock thing that goes over your ankle. Yeah. I was not playing that one, bro. I was like, making sure I'm fully protected.
Nowadays, they're this big. They're this big. They are actually. They are proper shin pads. They are that big, but too quick on the wing, Mark. Yeah, definitely.
So again, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a great show. Now I will play the outro. So thank you, and see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
That's all, folks.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.